Hi, everybody. Welcome. If you haven't been here before, welcome. And if you are not subscribed, please subscribe. Um, this is my fifth channelversary. Hi, Deanne. I've been doing this for 5 years now. Who would have thought that it would last that long? Now, the first 4 years, I celebrated each channelversary with two guests. So if you look back in my archive, you can view all those. And each year it was two different guests. This year I couldn't decide what I wanted to do or who I wanted to have on as guests. And so I thought about it, and I have not been very active in the tarot community lately. So I thought, well, maybe I'll do something different this year. What I thought was 5 years, that's half a decade, and it's time to sort of reflect on my channel. When you start a channel on YouTube, you think about what you want to achieve, what you want to convey. And I started this out as sort of a tarot shopper's helper, where my plan was to do walkthroughs or flip-throughs of tarot decks and show people what was available to them before they put their money across the cash counter at their metaphysical shop on a shrink-wrapped deck that they weren't able to see in advance. I had seen other channels doing something similar, and I thought this is really helpful to me. But my tastes are a little different than others, so let's give this a try and see if I can help some other people out. So I did that for a while, and that was my main focus. And then I found a year or two into it that I was starting to almost bankrupt myself with all the decks that I was buying, and I was finding more and more that I was buying decks purely for content reasons rather than any particular personal interest in the decks. So I thought, gee, I need to think about redirecting what I'm doing. And so I tried to figure out some other content. I did do some live casts. From time to time, I have a topic or a subject that intrigues me that I want to interact with other people about, or I'll have a guest that I want to interview or exchange ideas with. So that can be fun. But I found that after the first year or two that it wasn't going according to plan. I had everything scheduled usually that I would have one live per month on a particular day. And I found that it wasn't working for me. And a lot of people that have channels, I've got quite a few friends that had channels that were very active. And then in the first to third year, they sort of burn out and then close out, drop their channel and go away, which is unfortunate. I think some of you have seen people like that and you miss them when they go away. And so I thought, well, should I do that? Should I stop? Should I pause for a while? What should I do? And then I thought, well, let's just take the routine and the scheduling out and just show up when you feel like it. When the impulse strikes, when the passion strikes, and you have something you want to talk about, then go online. I should check, actually, before I go any further, for the people that are here. I see Deanne and Red Wing. Can you guys hear me okay? Because it's 92 degrees here in New York City, which is quite hot. And I have my fans off, but I have my air conditioner on and it's roaring in the background. So I don't know if that's interfering with my mic or not. Um, so let me know if you can't hear or if there's a problem. And if there is, I can turn my air conditioner off and suffer. So anyway, yeah, I didn't give up my channel. Thanks, Deanne. If it's too bothersome, let me know. And like I said, I'll turn it off. So I didn't give up my channel. I continued on, and I just decided to do what I wanted when I wanted. And why not? You know? Can hear you, and the aircon is noisy. All right, I'm going to turn it off, and if I get too hot, I'll turn it back on. Hello, Carla. Don't know you. Welcome. Yeah, I just decided to sort of like shift what I was doing. And hey, Star and Flurry, thank you everybody for the congratulations. So I didn't know what I was going to do today, but I thought, well, I'll just go it alone, and talk a little bit about, you know, establishing a channel and, you know, what's involved in it, and what's involved in keeping the interest going for myself. I think by the fact of sort of interrupting my routine and my scheduling, I'm sure that affected the algorithm for the growth of my channel, because my subscription numbers did climb fairly quickly initially. And then as it went along and I stopped that scheduling or routine, I think it upset the algorithm, and now my numbers, they haven't dropped, but they just haven't risen like I thought they might. So I appreciate anybody who hasn't subscribed to subscribe. I want to say hi to Ange of Roots and Wings and Julie at Peekaboo Rose. So today I didn't know what I was going to talk about, but I thought, you know, I got a deck the other day, and I'm not buying many decks anymore. I'm much more fussy about the decks that I buy than I ever have been. And I've always been known as sort of the card curmudgeon and have opinions about decks. And I find I'm not even watching as many other channels as I used to, or when I do, I'm not giving them my full attention. I'll pop in and say hello, or if it's a deck flip through, but then I find it doesn't really appeal to me, I'll skim through, jump ahead, or I usually do watch the whole walkthrough, or if I don't watch the walkthrough, I'll at least like check a few cards and confirm, no, this one's not for me, and then move on. But I thought what I might do from here on out, we'll see what happens, is since I occasionally do walkthroughs when I get a new deck, as rare as that is, I might do an interactive walkthrough with you guys. Maybe that's a new thing for me. Instead of pre-recording them, I can do them interactive and then get all of you to throw in your thoughts and opinions on the cards as we go through. So that's what I'm going to do today. So I noticed two decks in the last week or so that actually sort of intrigued me enough to actually hover for 2 or 3 days around Amazon and then push the buy button. One of them was the deck I'm going to show you today, the Zodiac Tarot, in a minute. The other one was called wait, let me double check my email so I can get the name right. The Good Fortune Tarot. And it's odd that it was called the Good Fortune Tarot because, oddly enough, I thought it was ready to go. I had seen a walkthrough, and I placed my order thinking, oh, I'll have this in a couple of days from Amazon. And it's not being shipped for at least a month, maybe even as late as September, which really ticks me off. I don't know if you feel the same way when you place an order for a deck that looks like, oh, it's available right now on Amazon. I'll have it tomorrow in the mail or 2 days from now. And then you see, you get a confirmation, but it's not due for a month or 2 months or longer. Anyway, I mean, I was tempted to cancel my order right then and there. But that one's going to have to wait. This one is the Zodiac Tarot, which I'd never heard of before. And it's in a tin. Apparently, it's been out for, I don't know, maybe a year or more in a regular box. And I don't know. I think maybe the tin has only been out for a month or so, but I just ran across it. It's from US Games, and I have kind of stopped buying US Games decks because, well, partially because they always have a copyright stamped on them somewhere that bugs me. Now, they've gotten better about reducing the size of the copyright or hiding it. They've gotten to where they have put it on the backs of the cards, but it's still snuck in there somewhere. I was thrilled, actually, when I got this deck to find, or I should say, to not find a copyright on the cards. I looked and looked, and I can't see it there. So I don't know if US Games is doing something different now. They decided to get rid of all their printed copyright information. Hello, Ralph. I can't see from the font if that's an O or an A. Welcome. So anyway, this is a US Games Tarot in a tin. I love decks in a tin. I like smaller decks, easier to handle. Now, I also love the US Games tins that have a little lip on them, you know, because I recently, oops, look, see, that's not quite shut right. I also recently got the Wisdom of Pooh Tarot, and this one has a new style tin with a flush top, which looks really nice. But the problem with the flush top is it's a struggle to get the lid off. I can't even do it now, and there's nothing to grab hold of. So I don't think that's such a great design quality. I actually prefer these ones that fit firmly or snugly on, but you can open them easily so you can get at the cards. It's kind of odd that I bought this particular deck, the Zodiac Tarot, because I'm not personally particularly interested in the Zodiac or astrology. I haven't investigated it. I am totally into tarot, but not into some of the peripheral esoteric things to study. Maybe at some point I'll get into studying astrology, but for now, not so much. But when I looked at these cards, it had some qualities that I really liked. And the zodiac aspects are there. The information is there, but it's not obtrusive. Is that the right word? It's not overwhelming. It doesn't distract. The deck comes with a little white book, and this little white book, oddly enough, is entirely in English. I haven't bought a US Games deck in quite a while, so I can't recall if they're always in English or if they have multiple languages. But this one is hard to read with the wrong reading glasses. This one is 59 pages, which is a pretty good size little white book. One thing it doesn't have is each of the cards has Zodiac symbols on them. And it would have been helpful, I think, for the book to have a little chart inside with, so for easy referral with the Zodiac symbol and then the planet assignment next to it. So at a quick glance, if I wanted to know, I could know what that means. Although I guess most people buying a Zodiac deck probably are already familiar with those symbols. And if you look up each card under its description, it will tell you what it won't show the symbol, but it will tell you what the planet that goes with it is. Now, since I don't know really much of anything about Zodiac or astrology other than what you might read in the weekly newspaper for your horoscope, beyond that, I'm not going to really get into that aspect of the deck, but know that the information is there in the booklet and on the cards. So let's get started. It's a an average size thickness deck. I think it's typical US Games card stock. It's glossy, and these are the backs. Oh, this might be a problem for a walkthrough. My camera with the reflection. This doesn't help, does it? I should have checked this out in advance. Well, we'll struggle through. It's glossy. One of the reasons I picked this was because of the design and color of the deck, and it has a black sort of nighttime background, and I don't have that many decks that are sort of set in darkness, and I like that. Especially like if the colors pop or the design patterns pop in contrast against a black background. So this, I guess might be obvious since it's a Zodiac deck that you'll be talking about the night sky, and so you'd have images on a dark or night background. Hi, MA, and hello, Regina. Welcome. So anyway, the back design is fairly simple. And like I said before, I can't see anywhere there the US Games copyright info hidden like they've been doing lately. So that's a big plus for me. Maybe I can start buying US Games decks again. Here's the front of the first card. Again, let's zoom in, see, can we see the copyright anywhere? I don't see it. Now, first thing I noticed on the cards, particularly the majors, they do have a constellation in the sky, which personally I could do without. I don't need it. And let's see, there is under the top label a Zodiac sign or symbol. If you know what that one stands for, then you know how that relates to this card. The labels are easy to read, maybe a little bit too forward. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. I could do with them being a little more subdued or in a different color. Those white bands are a little bit strong for me, but it makes it easy to identify the cards, particularly if you're reading in low lighting. The font is not very large, and so I guess it makes it a little bit more legible on that stark white. But I really like the color patterns on these cards, or the colorways, I guess they call it. I like the palette I like the bright pop of color, and I really like the quality of the design. A lot of the clothing looks like my camera is not going to show up very well. The has a lot of little design patterns in them. And I like the fashion in this deck. So here we have the Fool. Feel free to chime in if you have thoughts on any of these cards. Hello, Gerald. And so this is the Magician. I did notice some of these cards seem a little androgynous or maybe more female oriented than your average deck, or I should say traditional gender assignments in the majors. I wish my camera was a little better. There, you don't get glare if I do that, but you also don't get the detail. You know, it looks like we're not getting detail close up anyway. It's kind of blurring a little bit. Next, we have the High Priestess. I like that she's on this tidal wave of water. Moon sign, I guess. And 2 constellations there. I think the constellations, they stop once we get into the minors, but they're there in the majors. The Empress. Oh, hi, Simon. And yeah, I just really like the color and design. These are very stylized cards, I think. The Emperor. The Hierophant. Looks like we have a female, maybe female Hierophant. And I'm finding it kind of refreshing, actually, that we have cards on a black background. Like I said, I think I only have maybe 3 decks in my collection that are on dark backgrounds like this. And it really does kind of make the imagery pop. So this is a really interesting angel with multiple wings in the Lovers card. And these are glossy cards, which unfortunately, I don't mind glossy sometimes, but they do show fingerprints, particularly when photographed. So we've got the Chariot. Anybody know that sign? I think is that Pisces? There's Strength. What are you thinking of these? Anybody? Here is the Hermit. Oh, he's so dark, or he or she. I like that we have a hooded figure and you can't see the face. It's sort of recessed into the hood. And I love that they're walking through a night wood. How can I best angle these there so you can see? Wheel of Fortune. This is an interesting Wheel of Fortune. We've got an angel on one side and a devil on the other. Angel's going up, devil's coming down. Simon says, the art is nice. Take or leave the Zodiac part from me. That's exactly the way I felt, Simon, too, because I like the art and I like the color, but I'm not an astrology person. On the majors, they have constellations and they have the astrological signs, but I'd be happy just to leave the astrological signs and take the constellations out. But, you know, I don't think this deck was particularly directed at me as a shopper. Constellation on the Chariot was Cancer, says Deanne, and she likes the dark backgrounds. Rolf likes them almost on my wish. Okay. Justice. There is a scale there. I like their the way they handle floral or leaf plant patterns. The Hangman. Just so you can see better. Death. Not keen about that oversized scythe. I like the idea of the sun setting. That's kind of interesting for Death. Or is it the sun rising? Ah, there's the question. It's almost like the sun has been knocked out of the sky by the scythe, or Death is ready to end the rising sun. Temperance in front of a window. Oh, you know, there have been a couple of these window cards. I'm trying to remember. I think there's a deck that that Richie and Gerald like. Is it called the Broken Mirror, maybe? Tarot? I'm not sure. That have a lot of window frames in them. The Devil. Hello, Early Ritual. Is that Tom, I believe? Thank you. The Tower. I like this tower. It's a pretty tower. And I like the graphics on these. They seem to be just enough to pop, particularly for pocket-sized cards. The star. Our star doesn't have a face, just a star for a head. The moon does have a face. The sun with a strategically placed sunflower instead of a horse. Judgment, again with that odd sort of angel. Actually, this one, you can see the trumpet or bugle and arms, even though we don't see a face or a body. and the World. I'm really loving how they do the foliage. I thought for a minute that was a chain, but it's a scarf of stars. So these they put in order with swords first. So here's the Ace of Swords. And you can see at the top all the little the little symbols, which I don't mind. They're kind of out of the way. And to me, they're just sort of like random squiggles. It doesn't bother me whether I know them or not. But later on down the line, if I get into astrology, that will be helpful. Maybe it will slowly introduce me to working with astrology and the cards. The Two of Swords is intriguing that you've got the crossed swords. She's not holding them, though. They're just kind of levitated into place. I like the sort of open body language of the figure versus the cross-armed, closed one that we usually get. It's interesting. Three of Swords. Nice, we don't get, well, we do get sort of the heart. Here she's pierced through the back with a sword, right through her heart, which doesn't seem to have affected her at all, other than sadness. I can't tell in this light. There may be a tear on her cheek. Where are we here? Four of Swords. The number's a little small. The font is a little bit small on this deck. This is not a reclining, restful Four of Swords. You know, this deck kind of reminds me of a little bit of the Tarot of St. Petersburg. It has some of that color quality, and on the black glossy background reminds me of like Russian or Ukrainian enamel art. It also reminds me of is it called the Terra Nova? The running press tarot that is on a black glossy card. What do we have here? This is the Five of Swords. The Six, I love this. I love that in this Six, I love this boat. I like Six of Swords cards when the boats are like really interesting. And I love that this one is sort of reclining in the boat. In fact, she's kind of using a wand as an oar to move the boat. And usually we see the boat going from left to right towards the future. This one's kind of like, unless she's rowing backwards, because the waves seem to be going that way. It's odd that if she is, she's facing backwards in the boat. Next, we have the Seven. I like her running through the forest at night, sneaking away. It has a very story-like feel, this deck, I think. The Eight of Swords. Again, I can't tell if this is a male or a female, but that's fun. I sort of prefer it that they actually be androgynous figures than one or the other. The Nine. again, besides the spot colors, I'm really enjoying all these little patterns on the fabrics, on the clothing, the blankets, the pillows. I like ornamentation, decoration. This is one of those decks that I think would be a really good Christmas stocking stuffer kind of deck, because you think of the dark nights of winter and you think of like all the ornamental patterns around decorating the tree in your house. And here the figure seems almost to be sleeping under a blanket. I think it's a cape, but it doesn't feel as violent in a way as, it's more like nightmares in a way than death. Here's the page. It's funny, I get an impression of a very quiet deck here too. Like I can almost hear crickets or peepers in the woods, at night sounds, or the roar of the fire. Queen of Swords. Oh, she's got wings. Butterfly or moth? King. Now we're on to the cups. Ace of Cups. Anybody know what kind of flower that is? Oh, is it baby's breath, maybe? Two of Cups. Love the patterns. And I guess they're indoors. I kind of love the cutout of the window shape. Three of Cups. Now, I don't usually like contemporary art decks. This is kind of in between. A lot of it feels sort of old world or traditional, but here we've got a modern woman in slacks and a long sleeve shirt. A woman in a short dress and a gown. So I don't know, is it Mother Maiden Crone, maybe? Maiden Mother Crone? I don't know. 7. No, sorry. Yeah, the font is a little bit of a problem. It's very small. 4 of Cups. But then again, if you know the RWS, you don't even need that. You can count the cups. 5. And you can see it really does follow the Rider-Waite-Smith depictions. 6. Very sweet. 7. 8. Oh, I like the face on the, is it the moon or the sun? I guess it's sort of an eclipse. There's a double row of eyes, which is interesting. 9. No, 9. 10. This is a funny card to see at night. And we've got a rainbow. We never get a rainbow in a night sky, but and all the tens are always bright daylight. So it's like kind of interesting. It's more like fireworks time or something. Page of Cups. There is a fish. Knight of Cups. I get an almost animated feel from this, except it doesn't feel like a kids or a cartoon kind of illustration, but it's definitely stylized in that direction of animation. I could see this as an animated cartoon. I remember seeing something like this when I was a kid. They had an animated version of Grieg's Peer Gynt suite. It was sort of limited animation, but it was very stylized and very entertaining. Here we've got the Ace of Wands, the Two of Wands. I also like how foresty this is. The Three of Wands, this is my card, and it doesn't disappoint. I like the moon in the sky there. I like suns and moons with faces. The Four. Interesting that the grass or whatever is going on the ground there is bright red. Five. Again, a little bit of contemporary nod there in the fashion of these people. Oh, it's also interesting. It looks like there's a woman and a number of guys. I can't tell if they are constructing or battling or what the conflict is in this card. But we don't usually see mixed genders in a Five of Wands. Six of Wands. I don't see other celebrants behind this honoree. It's interesting, though, that kind of starburst around the horse's head, though. The Seven. Hello, Midnight Unicorn. Hi, I think I have the Queen of Wands from this deck that came in one of the envelopes Cheryl from Oneness sends with orders. Well, we'll find out shortly. The Eight of Wands, we actually have somebody with wings on their heels running through this. That's kind of a nice change for an Eight of Wands. Deanne is still here, technically, just drive lurking. Don't take your eyes off the road. Nine of Wands. Ten of Wands. The Page. I like the hat. Sorry, you'll have to pardon a 71-year-old shaky arm. I'm doing the best I can. Knight of Wands. Queen of Wands. Is that the one that you got in the mail? She looks familiar. She reminds me of some television celebrity, but I can't think who. The King. Yeah, I want to see them together. Let's see. There's a dialogue happening. She's a little more in the foreground than he is. Still has a cat, though. The Ace of Pentacles. Red Wing pointed out that the winged heels refer to Mercury the messenger. This I thought was interesting. Look at the eyes on her rings. Or I don't know, why do I say her? Maybe because of the clothing. It's the Two of Pentacles. Very stage-like, sort of processional, as opposed to a balancing act or juggler. Number 3. What do you guys think? Do the zodiac symbols in the corners bother you? I think they only bother me about as much as the starkness of the white bands for the labels. I actually wonder whether this deck could be as easily read without the labels altogether. Probably. I don't think any of them have presented the elements of the suit in a way that couldn't be counted. The Five of Pentacles. The 6. That's really intriguing. We've got an obscured face of the donor on the 6 of Pentacles. As if to say charity is blind or charity can't see who's getting what. 7 of Pentacles. 8. The zodiac symbols are relevant to the cards' meanings. Okay. Unfortunately, not to me, because I don't have that level of understanding, but I think I can still use this deck from what I see taking place in the cards. I tend to read cards according to actions taking place. Yeah, I do use the element and the number, but those are sort of layers beyond the activity. So now we have, that was the 10 of Pentacles. Do you read that as a family? Again, it sort of has this like maiden mother crone quality to it. This looks like a child, an adult, and maybe a grandparent. Page of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles. Oh, hey, Sandra. Say hi to your brother for me. Let's see. Not everyone uses the astrological symbols in interpretation. I'm not great with astrology, says Midnight Unicorn. And Queen. And the King. Let's look at them together too. So I don't know what you guys think. I've not gotten a whole lot of feedback from you all. Is this a deck that you might purchase? Is this a deck you could work with? Would it give you issues? For me, I don't mind the glossy cardstock. There's no edging on it. I don't edge decks, but could be edged in black. I don't feel one way or the other about the back. Pretty ordinary. I like that it comes in a tin. The tin, has a little info on it, but, nothing particularly special. What does that say up there? Oh, it's written by Cecilia Latari and illustrations by Anna Chavez. So, I overhand shuffle. Like I said, this is I think this is kind of typical US Games cardstock. Maybe feels a little bit stiffer because of the lamination. I don't riffle shuffle, and I might have a little trouble with that. It feels a little thick with the lamination, a little stiff to do that, but I'm not really experienced with it. In terms of overhand shuffling, it feels like it works pretty well. Not sure. Usually the gloss doesn't bother me. I'm not sure if the reflection and fingerprints will bother me with usage. I also notice sometimes cards with black backgrounds can show chipping fairly soon, but I think that kind of depends on the lamination, the cardstock, the quality of the production. Not really sure. Let's see. Sandra likes the look of the deck. Star and Flurry owns this deck and loves it. Great. If you have a video on using it or a walkthrough, I would love to see that. So I'll look for that. Midnight Unicorn, I like the look of it. I like tin decks because I can put them in my handbag and they don't get battered, right? They look small. They're your average size, your average tin size deck, which I have a regular size one I can show you. If you're not into the smaller decks, you might have a problem, or if you like big cards. Here we are compared to an average tarot card, but it does come in, a regular box, regular size too. So if you like the deck, you want to see the imagery larger, more legible perhaps, You might want to go for the version in, I think it's probably a tuck box, but I'm not sure, as opposed to the tin. I'm partial to tins and small decks. I like them if I can fit them easily in my hand and they don't take up a lot of space on a tabletop if I'm doing a spread. They do, travel easy in a shoulder bag, just to slip in a little pocket. I don't like the really teeny tiny mini decks, but this is a good size. It's almost like a bridge size card, but it's narrower. Let's see if we can pull a card. We'll pull a card for the Channelversary. Should I maybe pursue more of these live deck walkthroughs, the interactive walkthroughs? Let's see. The card I pull is the Two of Cups. So yeah, that seems like a positive card. If I feel good about it, if the audience feels good about it, sharing our views and our feelings about looking at decks together. Yeah. So anyway, we're coming up almost an hour. I often ramble on too long. Today, I'm not going to do that. So I'm celebrating my 5th Channelversary with this short visit with you all. A little longer than I would have spent had I just done the walkthrough pre-recorded. But yeah, thank you for supporting me in the past 5 years. Thank you for allowing me to change course and go from my initial plans and move in a different direction. And many of us don't like change. I still don't like change, but life is change. So we'll see, what comes up as we move forward. My content changes. Thanks, Simon. Yeah. So I'm going to let you all go. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to the year to come and see you all hopefully next year. Hang in there, everybody, with channels. You don't like the course you're taking? Don't be afraid to change it. Don't drop out. Hang in with us. We appreciate you all. We thank you for your efforts and your sharing. And I'll see you all soon. Bye.